Okay, good Monday morning. Today I will post these at noon. They're due at noon. Um, Today all we're going to do is name alkanes. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be challenging, but it's also fun, I think. And I'll give you some homework on naming that. Okay? So here we go. Just as a recap. Alkanes are one of the series of the homologous series. And again, homologous means same position. So essentially these things are the same in that if you have an alkane, you have only single bonds between carbons. So this is what we're going to be learning about today, how to name these. On Friday we named a few of them, but it's going to get a little bit more complex and fun. So if there are carbon-carbon single bonds and only single bonds, it's called an alkane. If there is at least one double bond between carbons anywhere, it's going to be an alkene. And then later on, we'll also learn that if there's a triple bond, it's called an alkyne. So let's go back to where we were. We practiced some of these, pentane, butane, methane maybe. And now we've got to go to the next level of understanding. So, sometimes you'll see the letter N in front of a chemical compound's name. So, for example, N-pentane. That just means it's a straight chain. N-pentane. Again, we have to know those prefixes for the number of carbons. So a 1 is meth, 2 is eth, 3 is prop, 4 is but, 5 is pent, 6 is hex, 7 is sept, 8 is oct, 9 is non, N-O-N, and 10 is DEC, like decagram. Okay? So, have to keep those in mind as well. Substituents are those atoms or groups that are going to take the place of a hydrogen. So normally, on these hydrocarbons, and reminder, hydrocarbons are those things that only have carbons and hydrogens. We will look at some substitutes here probably tomorrow, but the most simple substitute here, or substituent, is something called an alkyl group. These are groups that are bonded to the main carbon chain. And these are going to have a formula C to the N, H to the 2N plus 1. Let's see how that works. You take the name of whatever the chain is that is coming off of the main chain, and again, that's called the substituent. I count out how many carbons there are for it, and I add YL instead of ane. So here's the example. Methane is CH4. So when methane is sticking off of the main chain of carbons, its name changes to methyl. Okay? And it's going to have CH3. It can only fit 3 carbons on there because the other hydrogen is going to be gone. It's attached to the main chain, the longest chain. So if I had ethane, which is C2H6, if I had 2 carbons sticking off of the main chain, I would call it ethyl, and that's C2H5. And if you can see here, C to the N, that's 1, H to the 2N plus 1. So 1 carbon, how many hydrogens? 2N, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 equals 3. That's why we have C1H3. Same would go for that. I'm not going to go over the math for it. Okay? So, let's try to name some. These are fun. Let's try to get out of here first. Yo! There we go. All right. So here it is. Again, these can get a little confusing, but have some fun with them. Ready? My first rule is find the longest chain. Find the longest chain. 1, 2, 3. Well, if I count from left to right, 1, 2, 3, it's only 3 long. How about from right to left? 1, 2, 3. It's still only 3 long. How about from top and then go left to right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No matter which way I count, and you should always use all those options, no matter which way I count, I only get a total of 3 here. So the next thing that I have to think is, in order for me to number my carbons, I have to find where this substituent, let's make it easy, the first one, we're going to consider this a substituent. And you can see that that substituent, which normally there would be a hydrogen here, this substituent has 1 carbon, and remember from your naming system, the prefix is 1 carbon is meth. So this is a methyl group. If I started here, it wouldn't matter. It's in the same position, 1, 2. If I start here, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay? Even if I started here, 1, 2, then this would be the substituent group. All right? So let's keep it simple on the first one. So the first thing that I have to do is identify what number carbon the substituent group is. Okay? So it's 1, 2. So I'm going to go ahead and number these. 1, 2, 3. That's my longest chain. Now, where is this substituent group? It's on carbon number 2. So I'm going to put 2 dash, and what is the substituent? It's a methyl group. So it's 2 methyl, and finally, what's my longest chain? 1, 2, 3. Meth, eth, prop. Now there are only single bonds between the carbons, so it's an ane. So 2 methyl propane. 2 methyl propane. Okay? That is the process for each one of these. It's going to get more complicated, but it also means it's going to be more fun, I think. All right, let's count this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My longest chain here is 5. So it's going to be a pentane of some sort. The next thing I do is I have to figure out where the substituent is. So I can go here. This is the substituent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I could call this 1, 2, 3, 4, but the next rule is when you have a substituent, you have to name the whole molecule by the lowest number of the substituent. So if I went 1, 2, 3, 4 methyl, that's higher than 1, 2 methyl. So I'm going to go from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go with 2 because 2 is lower than 4. Okay? So what is the substituent? I've got a CH3 group, and if you remember right here, the CH3 group is a methyl. So here I go. 2 methyl, and how many is my longest? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a pentane. 2 methyl pentane. Good so far? These are going to take a little bit of time here. All right. Now, here's a new one. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No matter which way I go, these groups that are sticking off here and they could be that one and that one. These groups that are sticking off are in the same position. So CH3 again is a methyl. Here's another methyl. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, but my largest number here is 4. And 4, remember, is meth, eth, prop, bute. So, what are these groups? CH3s, again, are methyl groups. In this case, it's a little bit different because I have 2 of the same. 2 of the same. So, it doesn't matter if I go 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 4. They're both branched off of number 2 and number 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So the numbering in this case is going to be essentially the same. Now here's a little bit different. Since I have 2 of these and they're the same thing, I'm going to put 2, 3. Then I put my dash. Now I've got 2 of them, so I have to use a prefix that goes with it. So the prefixes are also in your CRT. 1 would be mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra. Okay, so it's a little bit different. So I've got 2, 3, and how many are there? 2. That's di. What are they? Methyl. And what's my longest? 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's butane. 2,3-dimethylbutane. 2,3-dimethylbutane. All right, let's try this one down here. I gave you different looks on these because you may see them like that. All right, we've got enough time, I think, to go over this last one, and this is a good one too. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 is my longest chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 is going to be my longest chain, and that's going to be a pent. There are only single bonds between the carbons. That makes it an ane, so it's going to be a pentane. Now, if we go from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where are our substituent groups? Well, I've got one here, and I've got one here. Now, is this the lowest number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So if I've got 3, then 4, I could have 3 and 4, or I could have 1, 2, and 3. So which one are we going to choose? We're going to choose the one that is the lowest combination. So this one is the one I'm going to choose. And in order for me to do that, it's got to be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this one is also slightly different because I've got 2 different substituents here. I only have a minute, and then I'm going to have to make another video, I think. So, here's the other part that goes with this. When you have 2 different substituents, you then have to put them in alphabetical order. So I've got a methyl here and an ethyl there. E comes before M. E comes before M. So that's what I have to write in here. So it's actually going to be 3-ethyl, 2-methyl, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pentane. Next video is coming up.